Valorant's player base has been on the decline for years, with over 30,000 Immortal players in Episode 4 to only 7,000 last act, and not even filling up Radiant's cap of 500 players, which previously would not only be filled, but pushed from the lower threshold of 450 RR to 600 RR and higher. Many creators and players are quitting Valorant left and right. What is going on? I've been playing competitive games for the past 9 years, but over the last few years, it feels like weak mentals, toxicity, no-commers, and people that genuinely aren't having fun are at an all-time high. Why is that? We all know every competitive game will always have problems with cheaters, smurfs, win traders, and a whole lot of technical problems. No! Go back! Put me back in! However, one problem that seems to have only increased over the last 5 years is the lack of people wanting to try and win.
All right, man. Whatever. I'm leaving.
Did he actually leave? Or even just play the game? Sure, you could just say that all of these people are beaten down by all the reasons I just listed, but I don't think that's the case. I think those issues are actually outliers. For example, I've been playing Valorant since its release, and I've only seen a handful of cheaters. Well, at least up until recently. Same thing with smurfs. If you solo queue, the odds of you getting a smurf on your team are nearly half the time. And even then, I think people are just super quick to blame smurfing when someone is just having a pop-off game in a competitive environment where it's super easy to be inconsistent. But hey, I make Valorant speedrun content, so who am I to say anything? And that's not the point of this video. What I want to talk about is the psychology of why people try to win games. This is something I don't think I've seen anyone really talk about, and it's not something I've been able to put into words until recently. So let's back out and view it more broadly from a psychological standpoint. The general concept of play is really important. First off, the ability to play as a kid is one of the first things you learn in life. And if you don't learn it early on, you will become developmentally behind because all the other kids that learned how to play now have an environment to build social structures and learn from each other. Let me boil this down. Let's say you're in junior high and it's after school. You and your friends all decide to play a game of soccer on the field. You're playing for a bit, but the teams are just unfair and you're getting smoked. Instead of playing it out until the next game or activity comes up, you decide to just sit down on the field while everyone else finishes out the game. We can all agree this is not a very cool thing to do. Assuming you agreed to playing the game of soccer, it's now your social obligation to finish the game out, regardless of the win or loss. Now, in this situation, maybe you had a bad day. I'm not saying all your friends are going to ostracize you after one poor experience, but if you repeat this over and over again, people will just become less likely to play with you or even invite you to play in the first place. So, as a result of this, everyone that developed the ability to play as a kid now has this social structure morally attached to them.
I didn't play soccer.
Now, back to competitive gaming. Why is it any different? Take the same situation and put your group of in-person friends online. If you repeat a similar poor behavior consistently here, people will become less likely to continue to play with you over time. As a result of this, you probably have a group of friends that you play games with, and everyone generally has a good experience together. The problem with competitive gaming online is entirely social. The games we play are actually great. Valorant is in a phenomenal state from a game balance perspective. Sure, games might go through different seasons or patches that aren't amazing, but overall, we live in an era of absolutely amazing online games with a plethora of options to choose from. Sure, some things can happen in the game that aren't great and feel unfair at times, but the developers are always at a constant war in battling that feeling. Don't get me wrong, things always need changing.
Getting mech! The mech's tarping in! He's tarping it in!
But I want to raise awareness to the actual issue for gaming feeling pretty rough recently, being mainly social. Since we're playing an online game where you queue up with random teammates that don't get a choice in whether they want to play with you or not, you and your whole team have no social repercussions for having poor behavior. So you insta-lock Jet with streamer mode on, didn't calm the entire game, went 3-18, and lost a little bit of rank. Then guess what? You queue up and do the exact same thing the next game because there are no social repercussions. Kind of an odd thing. Lack of anonymity and social accountability is what keeps people playing fair. Being able to hide behind walls like streamer mode absolutely ruins that. The big problem that I've found with this discovery is that there isn't really a solution. Obviously, we don't want to go down the route of going full Big Brother mode and you have to tie your identity to your online profile so that your behavior can be tracked. That seems a bit far. But how else can we hold the bad eggs accountable? For example, I stream. Socially in that setting then, I am being held accountable by my community. if I were to go off the rails and do some things that my teammates do in game, there would actually be repercussions. So I am significantly less likely to be a bad egg. Obviously, there are other communities that foster this type of behavior, but that's a whole different can of worms that I don't need to dive into. While I don't have a solid solution to the problem, it really does feel like it's been getting significantly worse over the last 5 years. If this problem has always been purely social, why does it feel like it's gotten so much worse recently? Sure, it might just be a lack of incentive in the game, but so many people just throw games on alt accounts and it just doesn't make sense to me. Let's loop back to the psychology of play and how that's a developmental moral structure that is a core foundation in the human experience. What if you had a significant group of people that failed to develop these moral structures? What if, I don't know, there was a global pandemic that caused a solid percentage of people, regardless of your age or stage of life, to regress in this area or not even develop the ability to play with others in a way that's not a negative experience? Nah, that can't be it. No, seriously, I think that COVID really did a number on people. Not everyone, but there are a lot of people that missed out on some crucial development that would have helped a lot, and we're starting to see the real impacts of that in the online world. If only 10% of people were negatively affected by this, that means, on average, at least one person in every Valorant game you launch is probably not going to be fun to be around. I actually think that's a somewhat reasonable statistic and kind of on par with my experience. However, it's not just in gaming either. Social media is branching further and further from reality. The virtual world we are building doesn't sample the real world well, and it's starting to get a little scary. But let's move away from the scariness of all that, and let's dive deeper into the depressing hole of Valorant. I'm sure you've seen many creators make videos about the problems and potential solutions for Valorant, and it's time for my hot takes, because as much as I love Valorant, this game seriously needs some help right now. I recently hit Radiant again, and I not only logged some of the most hours of anyone in the game in the last few months, I went through hell and back to get this absolutely pointless rank. First off, before we dive into every detail of things that could be fixed, in case there are any devs that end up watching this video, I want one point to be incredibly clear. Try something. The game is dying. We need you to try things. Going radio silent, then dropping a $100 bundle as the only new content is not going to cause a resurgence to the game. Even new agents or new maps aren't going to be enough to bring back players that have been so beaten down at this point. Remember the Ares meta? For like a week, the gun got crazy overtuned and it was broken. It got patched, but it went down in Valorant history as one of the most hilarious updates, because for a week, everyone was using a gun that was almost never bought. Remember the Christmas mode snowball fight? Amazing. I know Riot is a huge company, and pushing any updates like this live might be problematic, especially with the scale of how large the Valorant team has gotten, but why not run changes or ideas like this on the PBE, or dare I say, let players help develop them with custom tools? You could have hundreds of thousands of live playtesters ready to try potential updates, and no one would be upset if they never made it to the actual build. Have an April Fool's mode where Jet's dash goes supersonic, or Omen can normal TP across the map. We need you guys to try things and give this game a pulse, because right now, it feels like the only option is ranked, which is pretty abysmal as it is. Helping give this game a pulse will increase the social interactions, and as I stated before, I think the main problem with competitive gaming is purely social. So if you take nothing else from this video, please just take away, try something. That's a pretty good segue to the first point in a long list of my gripes with Valorant: ranked. Ranked is meaningless right now. The higher you climb, the harder the game tries to pull you down to the rank you previously were. The system that used to be in place worked pretty well. The more you performed better at a higher rank, your MMR goes up. Somewhere along the line in the last year, they messed this up big time, and your hidden MMR or hidden rank scales at a snail's pace, making it incredibly hard to climb even if you are performing better and better. I talked about the player I sought recently, but just look at this. This should never happen. Even if you're on an alt account, even if you have terrible hidden MMR, gaining 12 RR for a 36 kill game is insane. If you genuinely want to climb in Valorant, the best thing you can do is climb as high as you possibly can, then stop playing. Wait for a season reset, which seems to help reset your MMR closer to your current actual rank. Rinse and repeat this over the course of multiple seasons, and bam, you're Radiant with barely a positive win rate and all negative stats. No, seriously, this is what I had to do to get Radiant recently. These are my stats. This is objectively one of the worst seasons I've played in my entire history of Valorant, and yet I ended the highest rank in the game. I don't even feel gratified by it. I just feel like I beat the system. So, how do we fix this? Either make MMR scale better, or get rid of it entirely. Why in the first place do we even have a hidden rank behind our actual rank? I'm sure there are reasons that I don't understand, but hidden MMR seems to cause so many problems and be the solution to what exactly? Making it so previous Radiants can get back Radiant easier? Making it so the grind is even more pointless for them and they can throw games over and over again, getting -9 RR while gaining +30? Surely we want to actually incentivize players, not reward them for poor performances. I get that it would kind of suck to have to grind through Immortal again with no hidden MMR, for sure, so I'm not saying it should be fully removed, but the system right now makes people hard stuck in any rank unincentivized to try, since they keep getting stomped down, and people super high rank unincentivized to try, since they keep getting brought back to their high rank, even with a negative win rate. I think across the board, Valorant needs like a 20 to 30% increase to RR gains on positive performances. And in higher ranks, like a 50% increase to RR lost based on poor performances. Not just if you get stomped as a team, that happens, but if you individually had an outlier bad game and are the reason your team loses, you should lose more, and it should scale based on how high of a rank you are. Hot take, I know, but some people are inconsistent in lower ranks. That shouldn't be punished as hard. That inconsistency in higher ranks should be punished on the low end and rewarded on the top end. If I currently drop 40 kills or 5 kills and win, my RR gain is almost the same. That is a silly system that accidentally boosts so many people. This is all just purely from a ranked system point of view, so don't even get me started on gun buddies. Talk about issues being purely social. Having the same reward recycled with a new number over and over and over again for the last 5 years is obviously problematic. Other games have caught on to this. Marvel Rivals, being about a year old, gives you skins, banner frames, honor crests, and just way more reasons to try. Now, obviously, this isn't going to fix every problem in the game, but the compounding effect of trying new things and giving this game a pulse is what's going to bring back a lot of players and bring back people trying. Everyone talks about the greatest ranked rewards of all time: League of Legends Challenger jackets. Now, I know logistically this is probably a nightmare to pull off, but surely we can do better than the same gun buddy that every other rank gets. Flex Ninja had the idea for a Vandal skin with the number of Radiant you ended in. Do you know how hard people would try to get one of these? Let alone get a 2-digit or single-digit Vandal skin? That would be epic. Valorant recently added flexes to the game. I thought surely next season we get a flex to literally flex your rank in game, but somehow even that didn't happen. Player cards, titles, skins, even more dripped out gun buddies. Make a theme for the season. Have the ranked buddy be on fire, and the higher rank you get, the buddy has more flames. Auras got added for Premier recently. Utilize that. Add a crest on the player card so that it's not so stream snipeable like showing your act rank is. I promise, if you give players the opportunity to earn a Vandal skin or a Ghost skin for their rank, it's not going to cut into the profits. You don't even need to make it upgradable. It's just purely a flex to have in game. I mean, an upgradable rank skin would be nice, but let's be real, it doesn't change the fact that people would try so hard for that. There are plenty of things to potentially try with in-game rewards. Just actually try it. It's been 5 years. If they really wanted to show some dedication to the community and make like Radiant jackets, hats, or something like that, I'm sure people would even pay for them. Long story short, for ranked rewards, give us more reasons to push for trying hard in the game. Make it so people don't want to no-comm and run it down. Lastly, this is more of a niche problem as a high-ranked player, but you shouldn't get ranked rewards for Radiant unless you end in Radiant. Every other rank is fine because you don't want people feeling scared to queue after ranking up, but in Radiant, you should feel the pressure, and you should be incentivized to try insanely hard in every game. For the entirety of Valorant, I have had no reason to continue pushing after hitting Radiant. I usually hit Radiant while trying hard on a delay, then I turn off delay and lose 400 RR over a few weeks because I have no reason to try for the next 6 months. I'd rather have fun with my community interacting without a delay. And that's a good enough spot to talk about the next issue: stream sniping. Stream sniping. I don't know how this hasn't been addressed yet, but there needs to be punishments for anyone caught stream sniping, cheating, or doing anything to get an unfair competitive advantage. If there are harsher rules put in place, the community will hold itself to a higher standard. When people are playing a game and they hear a teammate that has an enemy's stream open, they shouldn't go, "Oh, nice, free win." they should feel incentivized to report that player and make the game more competitive and fun across the board. I know Riot changed the TOS and said stream sniping was bannable, but I'm gonna be honest, I've seen so few people actually get banned for it. The biggest problem isn't really stream snipers though. It's how easily abusable streamer mode is. If you don't know, there are tons of programs that can see straight through streamer mode, and it's basically cosmetic at this point. Riot needs to do something that combats this, and also add things like player card and title randomizers. Even give streamers multiple name changes every day. If I could pay $10 to change my actual name in-game, I would do it every day. Very few people that stream snipe are actually going on Twitch and going, oh wow, Keeoh is queuing, let's snipe him. It's mostly just opportunists that are queuing and have a program installed. It's against the rules, but it needs to be treated like it actually is, aggressively. Now, I know not everyone's a streamer, so let's talk about something a bit more controversial. Agent bans. As many of you know, Riot does a lot of internal playtests to test out the meta, future builds, and just everything in the game. As a result of this, the game is great. Sure, every once in a while, there are some busted things, but especially when you're playing the game in customs with 10 players that really want to play the game, it's great. That's not the issue. The issue is ranked. I don't know about you, but in almost every game I play, no matter the map, I have Jett, Reyna, and Clove all insta-locked on both teams. Except for maybe a map like Icebox, which I would argue is even more stale, because if you're not running Viper, Sova, Killjoy, and 2 duelists who are most likely Jett and Reyna, your probability of losing goes significantly up, at least in high elo. Now, personally, I don't know how I feel about agent bans in Valorant, but we have to recognize this game is way different from what it was 5 years ago. Riot released the game with 8 agents. There are now 28. I think the conversation about potential agent bans is valid. I don't know how it would work or be received, but I do know it would significantly mix up the stale, optimized meta in high elo. Look at VCT, for example. So many teams have the opportunity to try new ideas, combos, and team comps, so they run them. G2 and Sentinel's Icebox comps have 0 duelists. This would never happen in ranked. So we're forced to play with the same comp every time, as it's what people are comfortable with in ranked. And if you step outside of it, you're dubbed as trolling or throwing. Agent bans could be a solution to that. It'd be fun to see how it all actually works. This goes in line with what I was saying earlier. Try something. Try them out for a season, or in a PvE, or have a pop-up that lets people vote at the beginning of the game if they want agent bans or not. Or just have a separate mode to try it out with 1, 2, 3, 4 bans and just see what happens. Additionally, there's another system in Agent Select that should be implemented immediately. Let me give an example. You load into a game, 4 people insta-lock duelist. You're now screwed for the next 30 minutes and have the option to dodge, play Clove, or lock the 5th duelist. There is no way to counteract this without killing the game for people who exclusively want to insta-lock. Overwatch's hero picking system is infinitely better with no downsides. In Overwatch, you hover heroes at the beginning of a game. While you're hovering, no one else can hover it. I think a lot of people that choose to insta-lock would be willing to switch if the team needed it. Obviously, it's not everyone, but why not give some people that opportunity? For the first 20 seconds of Agent Select, allow only hovering. No one can lock and no one can hover the same agent. Insta-locks can still hover and then lock Jett, but if you have 4 people hover duelists, it gives everyone a chance to make a good team comp. The problem is, we're not giving people that opportunity at all right now. The outcome of a 30 to 40 minute game can easily be decided in the first 10 seconds of Agent Select. That should not be the case, nor the most important part of a game where you queue with random teammates. I see literally 0 downsides for implementing this in every rank and every game mode that has Agent Select. Maybe you could argue it takes slightly longer to get into a match, but someone sits there and locks last second most of the time anyway, so I don't see why something like this hasn't already been implemented. Let's dive into Premier for a moment. First off, I'm stoked that they're trying some things with an in-game tournament system, but I have a question. Why do we play Premier? Gun buddies, titles, and the whole aura thing is cool, but the purpose of Premier is to help undiscovered players have a way to potentially shine and make their climb through Premier to Tier 2 and ideally Tier 1 eventually. This is awesome, and it's great to have a place for that. However, Premier is being severely underutilized. For example, I'm a high-level player, but I have no pro player ambitions. Why would I play Premier? Additionally, 99% of the player base is below Immortal and probably won't make it to the Contender division, let alone Invite, the highest division, which you have to win Contender to qualify into. Now, with all that said, Premier is an amazing tournament system that has been built out, but I think most people playing Valorant don't have pro player ambitions, or at least understand that they're not at that level yet. Why not utilize this system for creators to host tournaments or have fun, wacky tournaments with weird rule sets where only shotguns are allowed? If your team performs in a top percentile for your division, give out some Radiant or VP or some exclusive thing for the event. Make it competitive, but also make it fun. This can run simultaneously next to Premier as it is, so people that want to try hard can continue to do that, but give something fresh for the people that are a little burnt out. At the end of the day, if it's a wacky tournament or not, it's still competitive, which is the core of the game. This just creates so many potentially hilarious scenarios that will help give the game a pulse, which it so desperately needs right now. I think something really fun that I don't think Riot would ever do would be the addition of more custom game tools, map makers, and whatnot. I wouldn't mind if Valorant had a custom game section that was basically the FPS version of Roblox. The core of Valorant is built on a beautiful engine and could branch into something even bigger. However, I know that one, that might be slightly controversial, and two, Riot would probably never give up that control. But if they ever did something somewhat like Overwatch did with their custom games, it would be infinite content, incredibly fun, build community, and be no work to maintain after all the tools are developed. It honestly would take things like seasonal modes off of Riot's plate, as players would just develop games that would become the flavor of the month. Headshot only deathmatch? Sure. 9 tiny jets versus 1 giant brimstone? Also sure. It's memey, it's fun, it's low effort, it builds a lot of community, and if it's implemented, Riot doesn't have to do anything. The players will develop it all. I could dive into this for hours on all the potential ideas that this could lead to, but I don't know if Riot would even consider it, so let's just move on and not get our hopes up. One of the more social problems I have as a high elo player is being limited to duo queue in Immortal Plus. I'm not gonna touch on this too much since I know it's more of a problem that's exclusive to high-level players, but if you didn't know, trio queue in Immortal Plus is not allowed. You can't queue it. This is one of the biggest problems in the game from a social standpoint. Here's why. Each game is usually a duo, and a solo on both teams. The solo player can easily hold the game hostage and make it a poor experience with no social repercussions. With my theory being that most problems in competitive gaming are social, this doesn't help. Trio queue was removed from Immortal Plus back in like episode 3 or 4 to help reduce the amount of boosting. But now, boosting is way worse and the quality of games is terrible. Trio queue should be re-implemented to Radiant or altogether. If each team was composed of a trio and a duo, the quality of games would skyrocket. If you're the trio and you have 2 duelist insta-locks, you can still make a really good team comp with at least one of each role. If you're duoed and 3 random teammates all lock duelists, you have to sacrifice an initiator, sentinel, or controller to make up for this. Additionally, if most games are trios and duos, it would make it the standard for people who want to try, as anyone who has poor social structures would be banished to the miserable experience of solo queue. This would probably make solo queue marginally worse, but honestly, it's already terrible. So would it really change anything? I don't know. Anyways, that was a lot. I'm sure I missed some stuff, and there are some more ways to improve the game, but I think I hit pretty much all the points that I thought were important, at least currently. Let's end on a little more of a positive note. First off, I didn't make this to dunk on Valorant for however long this video ends up being. I made it because I care about the game. This game is the reason I'm a full-time content creator. Despite all my gripes with the current state of the game, I do genuinely love it still, and I don't want to sit idly by while it continues in a downward spiral. I care about this game. I know everyone at Riot does too, but some things need to change and you need to try something. You've done a phenomenal job of cultivating an amazing community. It's time to foster that. Listen to them and make some positive changes for a brighter future of the game. If you watching right now agree with me, this is the time. Show that in the comments below. If you disagree with anything I said, comment that as well. If I forgot anything, write it down too. Let's have this video be a sample group of people that love this game and want to see some positive changes. Long story short, I think that the problem with Valorant and competitive games in general is mostly social. The way to fix this is to give the game a pulse, experiment, and give players a reason to try. Thanks for watching.